There's no need to complicate things. Let's stick to the basics. We both know what we want, let's just keep it simple. Oh yeah, oh yeah, oh yeah. We dance on the same wavelength. This feels like a new beginning. We both know what we want, let's just keep it simple. Oh yeah, oh yeah, oh yeah. So won't you let me trip with you? Leaning on fire.
Hi guys, welcome back to another episode of AJAWI TV, where we discuss architectural and construction related topics. I'm your host, I'm AJAWI, and for today we'll be asking a question, or I am asking a question, right? Um, are we really living? Are we living to work? First of all, let me know if you can hear me, by the way. Are we living to work, build a house, pay bills, and then say goodbye or die? Right? That's a question that I want to discuss. And the reason why I decided to discuss this topic is because I think that our home building desires or aspirations are directly linked to this topic, right? So if you're in the chat, I see we have some people in the chat already, right? If you're in the chat, I just want to say big up yourself. Welcome to the first official live for 2022. I really appreciate you guys being here. Foxy 8030, big up yourself. Let's see who else is here. And you're saying this title is so on point. Oh yeah. I mean, it's something to think about. Are we really living to build a house and then die, right? And the earlier we realize this, and the earlier we start thinking about home building on a different spectrum, is the earlier we can get out of that rat race, right? So it's a discussion that I think we need to have. So Anne-Marie Walker, big up yourself. Good evening to you as well. Let's see who else is here. Safi Anderson, big up yourself. I'm just going through and giving some people some big ups, guys. Bobby B, big up yourself. Loud and clear, big up yourself. Thank you for that. Music too loud. Okay. Thank you for that, Safi. Let me just turn that down a little. Guys, I really appreciate your interaction. So whenever you interact with me, that helps me to make the channel a little bit better, right? So thanks again, Safi. Let's see. Safi, you know how many people build a house for 10, 20, 30 years and then dead shortly after. This is why I choose to buy. I don't have the time. I want to enjoy life at my home. Yeah, we're looking at it from that perspective, but are we really looking at our home building from a perspective of making an investment, and that investment not being too much of a burden, right? So we have to think about that, right? We need to think about that, because I think, correct me if I'm wrong, I think a lot of people, and that's my first point, I think a lot of people build beyond their means, right? They build beyond their means. So at the end of the day, they will spend a lot of time doing construction, and I don't think a lot of people think about, okay, what is the real aim of this whole process? Am I building a house that is this huge mansion that at the end of the day takes so long to build and takes up so much of my effort, and it's not really an investment, rather it is a liability, and that liability does, it costs us too much, right? So that's why I really decided to say, okay, why are we really, because I'm in architecture, right? Why are we really designing these big houses for people who sometimes they don't necessarily need it, right? Like a bachelor, a one bachelor, right? Imagine me and my wife just starting out, and we decide that hey, we want a 10-bedroom house or an 8-bedroom house, right? It's just not, I don't think it's something that's necessary when you could, in my view, right? This is in my view, you could possibly design something within your means, right? Satisfy your needs first before you go to your wants, and then move from there, be able to manage that. Because a lot of people, they try to compete with others and then start to build above their means, and they end up in this rat race where they're constantly chasing, that okay, I need to pay this bill, I need to go back to work this month to pay that bill that is coming up for this month, and it's a never ending cycle that they're on. It's like a circle, you're going in a circle. You get up Monday morning, you work, you go back home, you eat, you go back to work, and at the end of the weekend you're like, thank God it's Friday. And then within that thank God it's Friday, in the back of your mind you're like, oh, Monday soon come, right? And I need to make sure that I get back to work so that I can pay the bill at the end of the week again. Right? Right, so Safi, Jamaicans are show off, big house and no gas in the tank. I want a 2-bedroom, 2-bathroom house with land that I can add on if I choose. Camelot homes in Discovery Bay, 2-bedroom, are perfect starters. I agree. I agree. But the thing is, are we really trained to think this way? Right? Are we really trained to think this way? Because the way how I look at it is from a generational perspective, right? So I grew up with my people around me saying, hey, you need to go to school, get a job, buy a house, and make sure you settle down with your kids, and there's nothing after that. Buy a house, and then there's nothing beyond that point, really. Nobody says to you, hey, in life you need to make sure you are getting yourself in a position where your income far exceeds your expenses. Nobody's saying that. And it is directly linked to pretty much a lot of problems that we have in and around our society, right? We are taught that the big house is what we are going for, and basically we are being trained to be poor. Right? So unless you break out of that cycle, you will end up in that problem of working to pay a house, to build a house, and then after that die. Right? So try to build within your means, people. Try to build within your means. Look at it from the perspective of, okay, when I build this house, what is my ideal situation after that? Right? Because if you have no plans for yourself, you're just going along with things. Right? You don't really have a plan. So let's look at it. You want a home. You're a family of 2, right? You are making, say, an average salary, right? If you decide to go and build, and you say, okay, you want to build, because most of the times, people have this big mansion in their mind. I want this because I saw this on MTV Cribs, or I see this, my neighbor have this, so let me try and compete with them. Them have the 2-car garage, I want that for my house. Nothing is wrong, mark you, nothing is wrong with wanting these things, right? And I'm going to discuss how I believe, because this is just my opinion, right? This is just my opinion. I believe this is, well, I'm going to discuss with you what I believe people should be thinking in order to get to that big mansion, right? I'm going to be talking about that as well. Um, Before we go any further in the video, you know what to do. You know our social contract. Make sure you hit the like for this video, subscribe to the channel, share with a friend. The aim of the whole AJAWI TV thing is to help returning residents return to Jamaica safely, build their home, and live a happy life. Also, it's for those that are here as well to start thinking about housing on a different spectrum. A lot of times people come to me to draw houses for them to design their home, right? Or even my associates, say architects or engineers that I'm doing work with, they have this big elaborate house, and when you look at it, the client cannot build it because it's just not within the means. They're designing and building above themselves and putting themselves under pressure, right? They're putting themselves under pressure. So I would say step down from that unrealistic expectation, evaluate yourself. And I'm not saying that you cannot want that big house. I'm saying the strategy that you go about it at is what needs to be addressed. All right. So first point is build within your means. Don't build above your means. All right. My second point is, are you really building your house for you? That's a question. Are you building your house for yourself, or are you building it to impress somebody else? Right? You'd be surprised as to the answer to that question when somebody really think about it. Are you really building your house for yourself, for your situation, for your enjoyment, or are you building it for somebody else? When I say somebody else, right? When I say somebody else, this is what I mean. When you design that 10-bedroom house, that 8-bedroom house, when you put that 2-car garage that you say you want, or that 5-car garage, just because you saw it somewhere, you know in yourself that you cannot maintain this, but still you want it for no reason, and it's not coming from an investment perspective. If you're building a home, if you're building a house from an investment perspective, right, and you want a 5-car garage, nothing is wrong with that, as long as you're doing it from an investment perspective. But I see regular everyday Jamaicans who are not necessarily that far up the financial ladder trying or asking for houses to be designed that are just way above what they should be building, and it normally ends up with unfinished buildings around the place. If you drive around the island, you'll see a lot of unfinished buildings, right? I went to St. Elizabeth the other day, right? And I think it's in the Magati area. No, is it? Yeah, I think it's in the Magati area coming back towards Mandeville, right? And when I look up on the hillside, I saw this, I think it was like 4 or 5-story building. I think it's a 4 or 5-story building, right? And every level is unfinished. and it's a huge house. It's huge. When I say it's huge, it is huge. But not one floor is finished. Not one floor is finished. And if that person decided that they're going to build like a one floor at a time, they would have been finished with one floor and be able to live in it and go probably start the next floor already. But it's just a massive structure that it has absolutely no rooms finished. Why are we doing this? Right? Why do we want to impress so much that we disregard our needs, our personal needs, to then try to meet the satisfaction of others? Right? Because I hope I am wrong. When somebody pass your house and they see, well, it can't be satisfaction, it must be envy. Right? It's probably envy, more of envy. But why are we in a position where we're thinking, okay, we're building this big house for somebody else to see it and say, wow, that's a nice house. But you in the house, you're stressing. You are worried that, hey, I need to make X amount of money this month just to pay the mortgage. Right? Just to pay the mortgage. You are in that house stressed out, worried that you may not be able to pay that mortgage this month. Right? So try and I'm sorry I'm laughing, but it's just funny to me. If I am building a home, I would be, and I think as somebody within the architecture industry, I think that I would probably want a big house, but because of my training, I realized that what is important to others, like when it comes onto their home, is not that much important, you know. The most important thing on this earth is time and being able to control it, or being able to manage how you spend that time. If you are going to work, look at it. You have people who build this big house, right? To say, all right, I'm building this big house. I want a playroom with basketball hoop in it. I want what else? A football court around the back and all of that. And then they try to build this. Mark you, most of the time they don't end up building it, but they build it and then they don't have the time to spend to actually use it with their kids, right? Simply because they're building above the needs. Now, again, remember I said nothing is wrong with building it. It's the method that you go about building it that's wrong. If you were to build it from the perspective of, okay, I want the ideal home for me is I have a basketball court where I can play basketball with my kids. I have a 5-car garage because I want that 5-car garage. But then you go about it strategically to say, okay, if I was to build that, that would be a liability. How do I put it into an asset, right? Or how do I get myself assets that can help me to build that? Why not look at it from, okay, let me buy some or build some 2-bedroom houses, some 1-bedroom houses, and then I'm gonna rent those, right? That income from those rentals, then that goes to building the big house. You get what I'm saying? But the reverse is, you're trying to build a big house and leave the little house and not ending up getting the big house. Whereas I've seen it where the rich or people who are financially literate, they build the small houses, 1, 2, 3, and then them step up to a little bit bigger of a house and still have them small houses generating income. And then they move over and they say, okay, I'm gonna sell this one and then move to a bigger house, and then they start building onto that, and they sell that, and they still have that income coming in. So their main aim is cash flow and bringing in that money and being in a position where their homes are assets. They're not doing it because it is a liability or they're trying to impress somebody. They're more doing it now because they're trying to create sources of income. Right? So they will have those 6 houses now pumping in money. Right? They're still working, but they have more control over their time now. And they are going to now move to, okay, a time for the big house. Right? It's time for the big house. So, and I think the whole housing crisis has to be attacked from the mindset first, rather than trying to design a cheap house. A house will cost what a house will cost. The size of the house determines the cost of the house. Always remember that. The location of it will always determine certain things, right? So don't go into the home building process thinking that you're going to get and somebody said it to me this week. I was doing a site visit and somebody said to me, most people want a cherry garden house with a what place the name jungle budget, right? Not that jungle is a bad, well, I wouldn't say bad. Not that jungle is undesired or whatever. But most people say they want a cherry garden house with a jungle budget, and they want a cherry garden finish with a jungle budget. Right? If you don't know where jungle is a inner city community. You know where that is, but that's the point that I'm making. If you are build from a perspective of you are building it for your needs, to meet your needs and not necessarily satisfy somebody else's desire of seeing your house, because it does not benefit you. Right? It doesn't benefit you in any way trying to please somebody else's eyes when you're in the house and you're fretting, you're getting all wrinkles and all of that simply because you want to impress that guy over there. It don't make no sense. Right? So I would say get off that wheel, right? Get off that wheel. The next point that I have for this is start small. Start small. All right, start small. I just basically give you an idea of how you can get that big house at the end of the day. It takes longer, it takes more patience, but 9 out of 10 times you're going to get it, right? Start with that 1-2 bedroom. Start with that 1 bedroom, and especially if you're a returning residents. I think a lot of returning residents do that, where they're overseas, they're working for years, and they must save up the money to come build that one big house in the ideal community. Why not look at it from the perspective of, okay, I'm gonna get a few houses to create income. A very famous footballer, I watched his channel recently, my wife introduced me to it, where he basically bought a few apartments and him just maintain those. Him retired now, and those apartments create income for him, right? In Airbnb, in rent some, right? And he's now able to live comfortably. Are you leaving Jamaica, going to a foreign land to go there to work, to come back to Jamaica to build a house and then die? Right? Should that be the case? Or are you going there to make an investment in yourself to then come back to further develop that investment? Maybe you should be thinking about, okay, let me get a few apartments, get two of the smaller apartments, you rent it, you create a contract, you have a books to see where it is going in. Each apartment have their own account. Every month the person deposit money to that account, and then you can track that. You maintain your apartments or your townhouses, and you ensure that your investment is being taken care of, and then create cash flow for yourself. That cash flow can then now be pumping money into that house that you so desire, right? And it can offer you the opportunity to take the time to build it rather than racing to build it. You're now in a position where you are sure of that cash flow, right? You're sure of that cash flow, and even after you finish the big house, you're still sure of that cash flow, right? So then you're in a position where you can build that big mansion and then go on to build another big mansion because you have done the necessary foundation work before you decide to go superstructure, if you understand what I mean. So basically, create the foundation to have constant cash flow. And if you want a good book to read that helped me to understand this, is The Richest Man in Babylon. Right? The Richest Man in Babylon. Go read that book. Right? I'm not a big guru as it relates to books and stuff like that, but there are a few books that I read and listen to over and over that helps me to understand these things, right? And that's one book that I'm going to recommend to you guys. Go read it. Read that book. Trust me, you won't regret it. And don't read it. The secret is, I don't read a book to finish it. Right? Let me just put that out there. I don't read a book to finish it. I never do. And as a matter of fact, I read slow. The difference is, somebody will take up a book and read it and finish it before me and not remember most of the things that are in it. I sit down to read that book to understand what it is saying. So when I put down that book, I understand what it is saying, and that's the difference, right? So that's my recommendation to you. Go read that book, listen to that book, but don't read it to finish it. Read it to understand, read it to apply things, right? So you see a little area, you read a little area, you say, oh, this sounds like it can work, let me apply it. You put down the book and you go and apply it. And then when you start getting that practice, you go back to it, all right? So start small, all right? My final word for you as it relates to this is this. If you try to build that big house before the time is right, meaning you are trying to build that big house or have that big house designed, right? If you're trying to build that big house and trying to design it, you're going to have to pay for it, right? And that may cause it not to be possible. But if you build that small house, right, you're at that level where you can build that small house, and you say to yourself, okay, I'm going to build this small house. It's in a decent little community. And you say, all right, you build it. You build that 2-bedroom house. Then you move to another house and say, you know what, I'm going to build a next house over there. You now have 2 houses. Those 2 houses probably could have gotten you half of the big mansion. Right? Half. Then you have those 2 houses. You can't even get this straight. You can only live in one room at a time. You can only live in one house at a time. You can only use one bathroom at a time. You can only use one kitchen at a time. If you can do more than 2 of that, I will draw your house for you absolutely free. If you yourself can use 2 bathrooms at the same time, your body being in those 2 bathrooms at the same time, I will draw it for you for free. Right? I will do it for you for free. So when you have those 2 houses now, you can rent out one and you can then move towards, paying off the mortgage for that one day and move on to the next one. So now you have 3. Right? And then you say, all right, you get 3, you get income from 2 while you live in a 1. Then you can possibly try and pay off that mortgage, or you can borrow against it and build another one. That makes 4. And you just keep continuing that cycle until you are in a position where you can buy that big house, build that big house with less pressure on you. Right? The low, what they call it, affordable housing. Affordable housing has to be tackled from the position of how you go about building and your expectations as it relates to go about building. Right? Look at, there's no other way to design, because most of the times when people design affordable houses, if you look on the market right now, affordable houses running people $17 million, $11 million, $12 million, $10 million. The average person not going to be able to get that offhand like that. But are you looking at it from the perspective of, oh, this is the one house we're gonna have, right? One house, and that's it. I don't think it makes sense. So relook at it, right? Think of it from the perspective of investment. So get that small house, the 1 bedroom, 1 bathroom, kitchen, dining, living, fix it up nice, rent it out, and then move up the ladder. All right, that's what I think. Are we living to build a house and then die? that's the real question. I think at the end of the day, I know I am not. I can only answer for myself and my partner. Right? So the question is for you. Let's see who is in the chat room today. Mario Thompson. That name sounds familiar. Very familiar. So like one of my classmates. Big up yourself, Mario. Big up yourself. Let's see who else is here. Let's see. Foxy, big up yourself again. Good point. Not everyone is able to buy. That's true. But buying right now is kind of tricky, yo. Because the houses that I see for the money that the affordable houses that I see are not necessarily affordable. And I don't know, people always want to make a profit, so you ain't going to have it any other way. But I think sometimes you have to think outside the box a little, because I even made a video on shipping container houses, which is not necessarily cheap. It's just that it's a start. You understand? So would you, let me ask you this. If you're leaving school right now and you're making, say, a good $80,000 a month, right? You're making $80,000 a month, Jamaican. If you walk inside the bank, my question is coming in, but if you walk inside the bank tomorrow and say, hey, I want a car, you'll get a car, right? Them go work that budget for you and you'll get a car. So at $80,000, would you say live in a 20-foot shipping container house well designed, right? You have a kitchen, dining, bathroom, and your bedroom, and you can possibly have a veranda or a nice patio. Would you live in that and work your way up, or would you want that big car and then that big house? Like broke your neck for get a loan, a big loan, to buy that big house or to buy that apartment that's gonna be killing you, right? Would you be willing to do that? That's the question. Because I think it's more about looking like you're doing well rather than actually doing well, right? So it's a very tricky thing, right? So I would live in the container. That's what that Shawnette AHT. Yeah, I would, to be honest with you, because me, if I was to do that, I would. May I fix up that to make it look nice, make it as nice as possible. Here's the thing, though, it's very funny when I look at it. I see a lot of like when I'm on YouTube a lot, right? And I'm seeing where like these overseas, and I don't mean to discriminate, Caucasians, right? They are willing to do it themselves. One, and two, them try to live in other means. So them will have like a shipping container. Them teenager save up and buy a shipping container and fit it out, do it themselves, take them own hands and make them own house and live in it comfortably. Whereas the average Jamaican is more concerned about getting that first car. Right? They're more concerned about getting that first car. Right? Safi Anderson, I agree with you 100%. We need to address or maybe we need to dress up even more our expectations or mentality, right? So yeah, I'm seeing where these, and again, I'm not discriminating, these Caucasians, right? They are building their own houses, right? And in one situation, I see where a teenager, a 17-year-old, right, save up, did some little jobs here and there, save up and buy a shipping container, and him retrofit it, cut it, do it himself, and build him 1-bedroom, kitchen, dining area, bathroom area out of a shipping container and build it nicely, well designed, right? And he's living comfortably. He doesn't have to pay mortgage, right? And he kept doing that. He kept on doing that to the point where he now has a couple of them and he's renting those as Airbnb. Why are we in Jamaica not doing this? Right? I look at it this way. At the end of the day, I should be encouraging people to build that big house. Right? I should be encouraging people to build that big house because when you design that big house, you pay me. But at the end of the day, what benefit or what contribution would I be giving back if I was to come and tell it that? So I'm saying to you, if you're looking to start out, if you're looking to invest, start small, right? I started out by buying my first car, sold it, and used that money to purchase my first house from that down payment. Oh, okay, that's good. That's good. Yeah, I mean, I want a car, and I try to not to buy it. simply because of certain rules that I have for myself now. And it's all from me reading certain books and becoming more enlightened, right? They say I'm on a massive savings now for house number 3. Oh, nice, nice. I like that. I like to hear that. Remember, if you want your plans to be drawn, if you want your house to be designed, my team is there. So head on over to AJAWI Construction, and you may get it for a decent rate, right? We have our decent rate. We're not cheap. Right. So they have. I don't know what that means. Oh, caviar taste with McDonald's budget. Box cover. I'll say you're serious. You're serious. I know, right? But yeah, let us start. Let us start. Do I have any link to I'm not seeing your stuff coming up. Why not? Let's see. Nemshi, buy or build the house first. It's better investment. Car depreciate and love. What is? I can't see all of that text. Sorry. Oh, and lose value. Yeah, I agree. I agree. Nemshi, big up yourself. Big up yourself. Life with the Stevens you're talking about with his wife Swaggy. Yes, life with the Stevens. I like their channel. You should go check it out. He teaches a lot about what he does for his investments. All right, so yeah, life with Swaggy. I like their channel. I like their channel. Let's see. The name of my company. The name of my company is AJAWI Construction. Right, AJAWI Construction. We have a series, guys. We have a series where I'm building a 2-bedroom house for a returning resident. I show you the entire process from start to finish. I show you going on the site. Every time I go to the site, I do a video. This is to help returning residents see their construction that's going on. All right. I think that it's a great thing for the person overseas, because so far the client, sometimes I miss things, and I'm just being honest, right? I can't see everything. And because the method that we go about doing it, even the client overseas can see something and say, hey, what's happening there? Go watch the videos. Because sometimes, like every site that I go to, every time I go to the site, I do a walkthrough, right? Where I walk through the building and video it. And it picks up stuff. So if I'm on the site and I'm walking through and they're not able to, and I'm not going to pick up every single thing, when I go back to the office, then I can pick it up. Alright? So yeah, back to our discussion. Mario Thompson. The housing market starts at about 9 or 10 million. Yeah, I agree. But how many persons, how many young persons leaving school right now can afford that, or afford that type of mortgage without stress? Right. My number one aim for myself is not to be in a situation where I am running to what I said, to afford life. So when we reach home in the evening, I am anticipating going back to work. When I'm at work, I'm anticipating going back home because I am tired. When I'm at home, I am anticipating going back to work because the bills have to pay. If you are in that position, you need to really rethink your life, because you're missing out on life. You're not living. You're not living if that's the situation that you're in, right? And that has a lot to do with some of these mortgages, because if you don't pay the mortgage, you're out on the street, and what you have already paid already gone, right? Charlotte, I would like to know from you though, how did you do it? How did you do it? How did you buy your first house? Right? Or what method did you go about? How I don't even know how to structure the question. How you buy your first house? Right? I think you told us a while ago, right? Or how did you build the second one? Right? So guys, a little update for you, and I'm gonna leave you now, right? Because I give you the all. I give you all. We will be having another series on the channel called Land Matters with AJAWI and Sophie, right? Land Matters with AJAWI and Sophie. It's a 15 minutes discussion with a lawyer who, of course, her name is Sophie. I've already spoken to her about it and she agreed, right? Basically, you leave your questions. She will have her own segment, right? She will have her own segment. And in fact, I will be the guest on her segment, even though it's on the channel. And what will happen within that series is that stuff like title, dealing with your title, getting a title, what you should do, what else? What you should do when you're buying a property, what you should do as it relates to estate planning, right? She will be talking about that, right? So you get to ask your questions. Again, leave your questions in the comment section, in the community section, on the channel as well, right? In the community section as well, right? Under the videos, comment and leave your questions, especially on her segment. Leave your questions for her so that she can answer it. I'm trying to make strategic partnerships so that it can benefit you and it can benefit them. So if you have like any land related stuff, you can always reach out to her and she help you, right? Once you're overseas and you're trying to buy property, you ask a question, you reach out, and you're on your way, right? Or maybe you're planning your estate, you want to write a will or something. You ask those questions. I'm not the best person to ask about that. I'm not in that capacity, and I try not to. I don't advise people in ways that I wouldn't, or I'm not professional in that area. Right? I try not to do that because it only makes me look like an idiot at the end of the day. Trying to give advice here, I have no business giving advice there. All right, so please reach out, have a conversation, interact with us this year. Hit the like button this year, subscribe. If you want to reach out to me personally, check out my website www.ajawiconstruction.com or look down in the comment, look down on the banner running right now. You'll see it there. All right. I want to say thank you for spending this hour with me. Right. I enjoyed it. I appreciate you. Right. And thank you for helping me to reach 5,000, almost 100 subscribers. If you are not already a subscriber on the channel, go subscribe. See you next week. See you next week. And you may be seeing the other persons next week. Right? And more surprises are yet to come. So, see you next time. Mario Thompson, big up yourself. You look for me now, my brother. Is that Esther Elson? Big up yourself. Thanks for joining. Glenda Flemings, big up yourself. Who else there? Who else there? Before we go. Nemshi, big up yourself. Let's see who else. Alright, I'm gone left on the now, man. Big up on yourself. See you next time. Love and appreciate you now. Peace.